Hello, friends. I'm Ray Latif, and you're listening to the #1 podcast for the food and beverage industry. It's Taste Radio. I'm Ray Latif, the editor and producer of Taste Radio, and I'm here with my BevNet and Nosh colleagues, John Craven, Jackie Brugliera, and Mike Schneider. I'm not actually there with you guys. I'm not even in the studio.
Where are you?
I'm not even in the country. I'm in Spain. I'm
What?
in Barcelona.
You got there fast from Anaheim.
Isn't it crazy? I'm a glutton for punishment, Jackie. You know,
That looks like the Anaheim Hilton in the background.
No,
I would have never guessed.
you know, if I close the shades, it could be the Anaheim Hilton. But as I open the shades, I'm seeing this beautiful Gothic architecture, and it definitely ain't Anaheim. So, yeah. No, I'm here because I was invited to cover an event, a competition, as it were, sponsored by Familia Torres, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, winery and spirit maker or distiller in Spain. They are sponsoring a competition called Torres Brandy Zero Challenge. And in short, they're inviting, or they did invite, 10 bartenders from across the world to present plans to introduce sustainability initiatives into their bars, and ones that they could replicate and be able to share with the community and the world really at large. Pretty cool stuff.
Ray, I have an important question.
What
how
is
do you
that?
How do you say cognizant in Spanish?
Well, in the Catalan region, you say cognizant. So you gotta slur your
Cognizant.
th. I'm not, slur is the wrong word, but yeah, cognizant. Cognizant. And I appreciate you bringing that up, John, because Cognizant is the presenting sponsor of this episode of Taste Radio. Cognizant is a clinically tested nootropic ingredient that delivers a patented form of acetylcholine to supply your brain and those of your consumers with the energy it needs to stay sharp. Learn more at cognizant.com. That's COGNIZIN.com.
Ray, one of the highlights for me of Expo West was I got to meet the Cognizant team, and they had chill jackets. Why don't we have chill jackets?
We could use some hoodies, some Cognizant hoodies for sure.
Yeah.
I would like that. I think they should infuse Cognizant into the Jamon here in Barcelona.
That would be awesome.
Every time someone bit into
Just a
some
big
jamon.
ham leg full of Cognizant.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be smarter every time, every day, because they eat jamon here pretty much every day.
Lots of ham.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bit more on my visit here. Look forward to, or stay tuned for an episode where I sit down with 3 of the key players of this competition, including last year's winner, who is the founder of a bar called Paradiso, which, according to the world's 50 best bars, is the #1 bar in the world. The spirits director of Torres, or Familia Torres, and the lone American competitor in this competition, who is a firecracker and someone that you'll love to hear from. But as you mentioned, Mike, Expo West is still top of mind for our office and pretty much the entire food and beverage industry, the American food and beverage industry, that is. Still so much buzz from that show. Although I do want to ask John Craven a question. Are you ready for this, John Craven?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
What choice do I have?
You really don't, actually. But I saw you posted something on LinkedIn about how people were questioning or unhappy, I guess, is about the lack of innovative concepts and ideas at Expo West, which I would totally disagree with. I don't know who said that, but who has been saying that, and what's your response?
Well, I think what I wrote was about people saying that there wasn't like real meaningful innovation at Expo. And, look, some of these people I think didn't even go to the show. So there's, I don't know, there's always that. You got to drag down people who went trolling.
How do you know there's no meaningful innovation if you didn't go?
Well, because they read everybody else's, like, here are, I saw one that was like, here are 35 trends I saw at Expo West. But no, I mean, I think, there have been years where there's some like real bleeding edge thing that everyone's like talking about. And generally those are at the time not things that are being talked about in like a positive, like we got to get behind it, more like oh my God, can you believe that there's like, I don't know, CBD in every single product? Or, I don't know. I remember the year like stevia became a thing and it was like all of a sudden everything, or gluten-free products, whatever it might be, that now many years later are like actual legit trends. But This year, like, kind of didn't have one of those things as far as I could tell, which my whole point of the post was that in no way takes away from Expo West and the innovation that was there, which right now I called it incremental innovation, kind of improving upon things that are already sort of proven concepts. And, those improvements might be, infusing some new like global cuisine or flavor into it, or just general improvements of packaging or taste or branding. And I think on that front, like, this was a show that had a lot of ideas that felt ready for prime time or close there too. I think folks like us, it's our job's easier if there's some like, hey, there's this new, I don't know, berry that someone found in the Amazon, right? It gives you a little more gossip when someone's like, what'd you see at the show? And you're just like, yeah, go try that, right? Whereas this time I was like telling people about, I don't know, companies that were making awesome dumplings, stuff we talked about on the last episode. And that's fine. I mean, I feel like this is one of those times in the cycle where like we're actually going to have some companies that come out of this that go on to like big things. And most of the mega exits in CPG are products that, were some, little twist on a thing that consumers are already familiar with. So anyway, that's, I don't know, maybe a rant on a rant, but that's kind of the way I felt after seeing all the, I don't know, not all the shade, but there was some shade thrown at the show, kind of calling it boring. But there was also plenty that was like, hey, this thing's awesome. Everyone's here. Lots of great energy. And I think, again, that's kind of how I felt leaving it. So, and still feel that way. So
there were a lot of people having their moments too, that maybe those people were different, than the people who were trolling. I think we saw a lot of, just meal innovation. There was noodle innovation. There were many, Indian flavors and Pakistani flavors, and as you said, dumplings. And I think that is innovation, whether you recognize it or not, or whether you think it's cool or not. It's still innovation for our industry. We also, and part of that is just it's people innovation, which having a more globally diverse, group of people at the event is unfortunately innovation for Expo West. We saw a lot more founders making foods from their own ethnicities, and it was a breath of fresh air, and that was a big piece of innovation for me at Expo West. We're starting to see more people making foods from their homelands, and they're making them in ways that are able to scale.
Well, and they're doing it, I think in a lot of cases, what I really like is clean ingredients. You know, there's like authentic like recipes being used for these things. And I don't know, I'm someone who like, you go to these trade shows at times and there's only so much like processed food you can eat, but there's actually like good, wholesome stuff here that felt, not that it wasn't in the past, but it felt actually like really like market ready.
Take a food like Homiah, for instance, that we've known for a while, still ridiculously innovative to be able to just have anybody be able to make laksa in their home. I had a pretty in-depth conversation with Kartik from Doosra about this too, and he's just telling me, Mike, you have no idea. Like, that is very hard to make, and you get it in a pack, add a few ingredients, and you're pretty close to authentic in your house in the U.S., and that's unheard of.
Yeah, and I feel like there's just been a lot of innovation, and there has been a lot of over-processed products and things that are maybe a little bit more buzzy, but people are focusing more on quality and, like you're saying, like simple ingredients, which is actually harder to do as far as innovation goes than it is to just, create something that's, shock and awe, but has, 20 different ingredients in it. So I think it's like reeling that back and being more authentic and creating cleaner ingredient profiles is a lot harder to do, but it might not be as sexy.
Especially in the U.S. We talked about on the CPG Week podcast this week about Kellogg's and their commitment to, in the U.S. to changing ingredients. That's kind of gone into the background. It's a big controversy right now. But if you just look at, say, Fruit Loops cereal, the way that they color it in the U.S. versus the way that they do it in Canada and Europe, very different. And we should be asking ourselves, why are we allowing that in the U.S.? And that is what founders are doing on a daily basis. And we're seeing that at Expo West, and that is unfortunately innovation.
Well, to answer your question, Mike, if you want to know why, call your congressman or senator and ask them to ask the FDA why artificial colors or colors that aren't used and flavors that aren't used and sweeteners that aren't allowed in Canada and Europe are allowed in this country, because it's shocking when you think about it. Because clearly those countries see a problem and have their own health departments that see a problem with those ingredients, but somehow we don't in this country. So anyway, if you really want change, I think you're right. On the one hand, it's incumbent upon founders to make better products that taste as good or perform just the same way as legacy products, but also, to complain is the right word, to complain to your elected leaders about the fact that these ingredients still are in, a majority of processed foods and packaged foods in America. It's very strange.
This is my favorite Ray rant there is. I'm just gonna take this rant and send it. I'm not gonna tell him I'm on the podcast. I'm gonna say, hey,
you open this can of worms, my friend.
I love it, Ray. No, keep doing it. This is one of the reasons that we support the next generation of brands, and we're hoping to see them change the food and beverage industry.
Yeah, and it comes from both sides, because consumers often aren't going to even know that these are issues until brands bring it to the forefront and let people know that this is what they should be, asking for. Because a lot of people just show up into the grocery store and they take what's given, and they're not asking that many questions until they realize that there's a better alternative or people are doing things differently.
And just to link a few points that everyone made in the last few minutes, when we attended the MENA CPG meetup at Expo West, which was held on Friday of this show, we saw founders, and just to back up for a second, MENA stands for Middle Eastern North African, and MENA CPG is intended to highlight and feature brands that are created by and operated by folks from the MENA community. The products that we saw at the meetup represented the ones that John, you were talking about, and Mike, you were talking about, and Jackie, you were as well, in that they had a cultural tilt to them. They had high quality ingredients.
Oh my God, they did.
And they tasted amazing, right? So like, these are all things that I think generally consumers want, and represent sort of that next generation of food. It's just a question of, adoption, I think, at this point, and awareness. So, for example, like Afia, which is a maker of frozen falafel, which is sold in pouches, and you can find it at Whole Foods and Wegmans and stores like that. They also have a line of frozen entrees that I believe are all vegetarian, things that are pretty much made with ingredients that you're familiar with: lentils, rice, quinoa, things like that. All really easy, convenient foods that are delicious and easy to make. And I think that was a key trend that I saw at Expo West, which was, you don't necessarily need the complex to make an industry better. Convenience and the convenience of good food, I think, is a really important trend that I hope continues, at Expo West and certainly beyond. When I think about the breakfast opportunity, and, maybe a bacon, egg, and cheese or a sausage, egg, and cheese will never be quote unquote healthy, but it can be better for you. It can be better for you than the Jimmy Deans of the world. And, we saw Mason Dixie, we saw Reds, we saw Rudi's all come out with better for you versions of that legacy frozen product. On the lunch front, Deep Indian Kitchen, which is a maker of Indian inspired entrees and other snacks, introduced a new line of Kati street wraps, which I thought, I've never seen anything like this within the Indian frozen food category. But basically, they sound exactly, they are exactly what they sound like. They're wraps that include like a chicken tikka masala or a different kind of, like, the spices and flavors you would find in one of the entrees that Deep Indian Kitchen markets, but in a wrap form, just to make it a little bit easier and more convenient for folks who want to take things like that on the go.
Did you get to try Aahana's Bombay Masala lentil bowls?
No.
That was a product that I got to try. I wanted to give them a shout out because we got to try them at the Startup CPG event, and it's an interesting take on the lentil bowl. Comes in sort of that similar to the lentiful, comes in that sort of ice cream looking pack, but they have grains in theirs as well. Super tasty stuff.
Nice. And I was babbling about the different kinds of Kati street apps that Deep Indian Kitchen Markets. I'm referring to their press release now. They include chicken tikka masala, which I mentioned, butter chicken, spinach paneer, chicken curry, and potato and pea samosa. So love that stuff.
Yeah, they're delicious. And also, they were telling me about like their packaging innovation, and they have this special crisping sleeve. So I feel like even like they're thinking about the experience and how do you bring something that you would get like from a restaurant into like your home by just microwaving it for a few minutes, which also just shows the opportunity in frozen in general too.
I can't stop thinking about Yaza.
Yaza is a fantastic brand, a brand of Labneh, and Labneh is a yogurt dip that is familiar to and traditional to the Middle Eastern community. It's a thicker kind of yogurt. It's almost got like a little bit of a sour flavor
It's like sour
to
cream.
it. It's not sour cream. It's like it's a thicker sour cream. You see it served with olive oil, with za'atar, with all kinds of things like that. It's a delicious product, and so. Kareem Khalil, who's the founder of that company, participated in the MENA CPG meetup. Mike, you interviewed him. You also interviewed the founder of Annie's Toum, which makes a garlic dip, which was delicious, which I saw you eat with your hands, your fingers, that is. And then you interviewed one of the founders of Afia as well, who taught you some Arabic. Is that right?
Taught me some Arabic, and you're going to see on a reel later that I did my best, and she said I did well, but it was hard for me to remember after I said it. I need to practice it a few times. So the next time that Farah and I get to meet, I'm hoping to have it polished.
Yeah, Farah Sibai, who's one of the co-founders of Afia. Huge thanks to Bella and Samira from Better Sour, and Rafi and Patrick from Ziba Foods, who co-hosted the events. Better Sour basically gave up their booth for a little over an hour to share it with folks from the MENA community and highlight what they're doing. And there was a good turnout and a good crowd. And we did a bunch of interviews, and you'll see them coming soon on LinkedIn. Excuse me. Well, maybe on LinkedIn, but TikTok and Instagram.
All the social medias.
All the social medias.
Bella's that person who, you know, when she sees us coming, she's pushing everybody else's products in front of hers. I mean, we love Better Sours, and I think she knows that, but it seems like she's quick to talk about the rest of the MENA community before her, and I have a lot of respect for that. I think I'm just really excited and grateful that I got the opportunity. Thank you, Ray, to just continue to be there for the interviews and and continue to learn and taste, and just, I mean, this community is phenomenal, and just looking forward to seeing what they do next. It just seems like we also got to talk to, again, the founders of Maazah, who they also bring the vegetables. They're one of the few companies that brings vegetables to Expo West. So it's like, there's so many breaths of fresh air.
Which is kind of strange when you think about it, right? That vegetables in their most raw form are lacking at Expo West.
Lacking at Expo West.
Yeah. What do they call that? What do they call that kind of spread?
Charcuterie board?
A charcuterie board, but there's another word. A crudité. Crudité. Yes.
And they basically, they have their boxes that they like to bring around. They're full of vegetables, but their booth now is basically a giant version of their box. It was so good.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Did you guys get to try the brand extensions or the line extensions for Wonder Eggs? So Wonder Eggs is a maker of plant-based hard-boiled eggs. It is literally, not literally, but it is, in the more figurative sense of the word, a miraculous kind of concept and innovation. They introduced, I believe, 2 new varieties. The one I tasted was their deviled egg variety, which is made with Fabalish mayo, I believe. Hema Reddy, who is the founder of Crafty Counter, the maker of Wonder Eggs. I don't know, she just continues to knock it out of the park.
She's so smart. I think her, when we first met her, she had different branding and just was very far ahead in her roadmap. She had so many products that she was working on, and then she figured out that Wonder Eggs was the one, and the one, haha. And then she also won the Albertsons Accelerator contest too, and she's standing up, bucket list item check, giant check in hand, sort of thing. I mean, they were crushing it at Expo West.
Yeah, the founders of a brand called Sunnie, Sunnie, I don't think we gave them a check to hold up on stage, but they did win the Nosh Pitch Slam in December of 2022 at Nosh Live, December of 2022 or winter 2022. They had the good and a strong presence at Expo West. I thought they introduced a new line of cocoa dippers, which are basically a snack pack. And we talked about Kokada's Dunkaroos killer. Well, Sunnie had a pretty good option as well. It was a hazelnut spread with sort of like a cookie cracker that you could dip in there.
It almost tasted like Teddy Grahams to me. They were delicious.
Good call, Jackie.
Hey, Ray, is it hazelnut or is it a hazelnut clone? Because they're trying to get into schools, right?
That's a good question.
I mean, whatever it is, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, they have just a brilliant line. I know they're called Sunnie because they use sun butter, and they also, and you know, their jam and peanut butter clone is phenomenal. So I wonder if this one's also allergen free. It's probably.
I would think so. Yes, I would think so.
Yeah.
You know, on the dinner front, I think, Jack, you talked about the frozen aisle, and I think there is a lot of promise that we're seeing in the frozen space. There was one brand that stood out to me called Wunderlich. Wunderlich is a maker of better for you food entrees. And they have the first thing I saw was their branding. I'm going to just pull it up for myself for my own edification here. It just had this like really slick, but also kind of nostalgic look about it. And the products themselves were just absolutely delicious. I tried Wunderlich is marketed by Bob Evans Farms. The products that I tried included their peri peri chicken. And so these are trays of food that come in 16-ounce packages. And it says on the front of the pack, 3 steps to prep and ready in less than 10 minutes. The peri peri chicken was made with jollof rice and herbed yogurt sauce. So again,
Hey,
you know,
Ray, speaking of peri peri chicken, did you see who has a new peri peri chicken sauce with Nando's? Bukayo Osaka.
Out loud. You interrupted my train of thought here. I was going to harken back to an earlier part of our conversation where, you know, when would you have seen jollof rice and herb yogurt sauce in a frozen entree and a frozen meal that was positioned to reach mainstream consumers in the U.S.? I think that is progress. John Craven, you're crunching on things. You haven't said anything in 10 minutes. You've been crunching on this chip. What is that?
Sorry, busy crunching. These are the Graza extra virgin oil potato chips.
Dude, you just said that like it was just like, oh yeah, it's the Graza olive oil. What, Graza has potato chips now?
They do. I think they're already sold out. Supposedly making more at some point in the future. I don't remember when, but they're really good. Like high-end potato chips, slow fried in Graza olive oil. So
That
I
what
went
you just
on real quick to buy these, and I got an entire case of them, and I only have a few bags left. I just sit around eating these like all day long.
Gotcha. Well, what you just said sounded like a great ad for them. You're like, it's a limited edition product. They're sold out. They're pretty good. I think they're coming out with another round of products, but I don't know. I feel like
Yeah, just use my affiliate code. No.
proud to use that as an Instagram reel promoting these chips. Now Mike's having some too. Jackie and I are we're stuck here. I have to. Yeah, well, I have to find what are the olive oil chips that are ubiquitous here in Spain.
Well, there's what are they? Torres, I think.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
Torres,
called.
exactly.
Yeah.
I believe that it's a different company than the Familia Torres that I was talking about earlier in the show.
Yeah, those are a little thicker cut. These seem a little thinner cut. I don't know. They're pretty darn tasty. They need a barbecue chip. Then I'd be happy.
Okay, a barbecue Graza chip?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, I don't see
I guess
that.
as long as they're like cooked in olive oil, I guess it makes sense, right?
Yeah, then just put a little barbecue seasoning on them. Come on.
Also got to give a shout out from Expo West to Matt McLean, who is the founder and CEO of Matt's or Uncle Matt's.
Uncle Matt's.
AKA Uncle Matt himself.
Well, it's not Uncle Matt's juice. It's just Uncle Matt's, and they make a variety of products. Most of them are juices. But they did introduce a new iced tea product that Matt mentioned is not necessarily a Milo's killer, but is intended to go up against Milo's and be that better for you option in the multi-serve tea category, or multi-serve tea set, that is. I thought it tasted delicious. It's an organic brewed black tea, and it is sweetened. It contains 40 calories per serving and 10 grams of sugar. But yeah, I mean, again, I think this is progress. I think for people who were drinking Milos and are looking for a better for you option in that cooler case, this is a great option for them. Now, of course, it's probably going to cost a bit more. I believe he said the price point's right around $4.99. I don't know what Milo sells for. I would assume it's probably closer to $3.99 or even $2.99. But hey, organic, less sugar, real sugar. Take it every day.
We're going to talk about what Mike's drinking.
What is Mike
What is
drinking?
that?
I think he's gramming about the Arsenal. He just said, "You should have heard what I told Ray on the podcast about Saka." I'm going to post that right now.
How'd you know?
Yeah, it's
I'm drinking Beekeeper coffee here, and this is their horchata flavor, which is very subtly co-branded with Taco Bell.
So subtle.
Not very
Wait,
subtly
what?
branded. It
Taco
doesn't say
Bell.
Taco
Why
Bell on
Taco
it, but the
Bell?
Taco Bell.
You guys didn't read the press release that
Taco
came
Bell
out,
logo's
but
on there. Yeah.
didn't even
so-
see the press release.
it's so subtle. Mike went up to the booth and he's like,
And
"Hey,"
I was like, "Hey,
he's like, "Hey,
did you mean to put the Taco Bell logo on your?"
yeah." He's like, "You probably shouldn't use copyrighted
They're like,
logos."
"It's Mike. We're partnering with Taco Bell." I was like, "Okay, there you go."
Wow, Beekeeper coffee. What is I'm assuming this is coffee that's flavored with honey,
horchata.
sweetened with honey.
Oh,
this-
yeah,
it
yes,
is.
it
It's
is,
all
it
got
is.
honey in it.
It's all got
and
honey.
it's this one's got 2% milk, coffee, organic cane sugar, honey, vanilla extract, natural flavors, and some stuff I can't pronounce, but 150 calories. Pretty tasty stuff. Cold brew
Nice.
latte. Speaking of tasty stuff, did anybody besides me get to try? One of the trends at Expo West was protein everywhere, which I love, and Amanda Smerlinski, also our high protein expert, loves. But part of the marketing team here.
Amanda's post: "How I eat 1,000 grams of protein a day."
Right. She's figured it out.
These chips have protein.
One thing she might want to try is this new chocolate or mint chocolate milkshake from a brand called Grounded that is got some traction at Whole Foods in the UK and is trying to come over here. I mean, this stuff is pretty tasty. It's almost in like a milk carton. You get 20 grams of protein. It's dairy free. Pretty tasty stuff.
I just thought of a cool advertisement that they could do, a cool promo that brand could do, where they put images of other brands that have lower amounts of protein in them, and it's like a milk carton from back in the day. It's like, have you seen where the protein went in this brand? It's like, the protein's missing, and of course they're shading other brands.
I mean,
and they're putting images of other brands, or at least silhouettes of other brands on their packaging. So maybe that's not the best idea.
For me, I always think of the Pavement song Grounded, which is super famous if you like indie rock, but I don't think it's going to work with them because one of the lyrics is "boys are dying on these streets." So yeah, maybe not so much for this this brand.
Jeez, guy, you can't end the show like that. Anybody else got something up with
No,
to
it's a
talk
great
about before
brand. You
we
should
end?
definitely try it.
Okay.
Speaking of protein sources, I saw a lot of paneer too, which is interesting. Like paneer is like a protein source. It is cheese, but there was a brand called, I believe it's Sach or Sach, SACH, and they were in the tent, and they originally had a line of paneer, but they just launched, in line with what we're talking about, a line of better for you meals that are like Indian flavors and profiles, and it was really, really delicious, but kind of showing how a brand can go from just one ingredient to then expanding into how it can be a meal or something that's convenient for someone.
Good stuff. Well, I got to tell you, Barcelona is nice, but I'm looking forward to coming back home.
Barcelona DNS.
It's definitely DNS, but I've been on the road for a while, and I'm looking forward to sleeping in my own bed 2 days straight for once in a while. So good to see you guys, and happy to see everyone at Expo West. I'm sure we're going to be talking about the show in more episodes to come, but yeah, stay tuned for folks that is listening. Stay tuned for much more coverage from the events, including interviews that I recorded on and off the show floor with some pretty amazing people, including Matt Weiss, who is the founder and CEO of Rind, an episode that we published on Tuesday. It's a good one. Take a listen.